Will the meeting please come to order? This is the regular meeting of the City of San Clemente Planning Commission for April the 8th, 2026 at 6 p.m. We are convened here at the City Hall Council Chambers. Commissioner McCann, would you do the honors of the pledge tonight?
Sure.
Thanks.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. We have all commissioners present with the exception of two. Vice Chair Camp is absent and Commissioner Prescott Loeffler is also absent. All other commissioners are present. We have no special orders of business. That takes us to item 5, which is our meeting minutes. Anybody want to make a motion or suggest any changes? Moved by Commissioner McCacken to approve minutes, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner McCann. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are unanimously approved. Is there any member of the audience that wants to speak to the commission about a non-agenda item? This is oral communications. Any? Seeing none? We have no consent calendar either, which takes us to item 8, our first of two public hearings. So the first is item 8A. It is a public hearing for project 24-139 La Casa Verde outdoor display at 130 Avenida Granada. And this was a item referred to us by the zoning administrator and for a minor conditional use permit for the La Casa Verde at De Grande. And it's also a request to allow outdoor display associated with retail sales and request of a parking waiver at 130 Avenida Granada. So that is the item. I'm going to open the public hearing. And I'd like to just briefly share with everybody here what our process is for public hearings, which is I'm going to ask my colleagues if they have any ex parte communications, which are essentially having any communications with the applicant prior to tonight. Then we're going to take a report from our professional staff. That will be presented. We may or may not have some questions, but then we're going to move right to the applicant. So the applicant will have 10 minutes to make a presentation. Following that, we'll then open up to the public, and they have 3 minutes to make their comments as well. Then we do give the applicant 3 minutes to come back. If they've heard something from the public that they want to respond to, they can do that. And it's at that point, we'll probably have some dialogue with the applicant, between the commission and the applicant. After that, we close the public hearing. We'll have our discussion, and hopefully that leads to a decision. Okay, so let's get into it. Any commissioner have any communications with the applicant prior to tonight? Drive by the facility, anything like that? Commissioner McCann?
I've been to the facility and then I was in DRSC.
Yes, we both have seen this before through the design review subcommittee. Great. Okay, with that, I'll just turn it over to Laura for the staff report. Good evening, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners. My name is Laura Corey. I'm Assistant Planner in the Planning Division, here to present Public Hearing Project 24139, Minor Conditional Use Permit 24140, a public hearing referred by the Zoning Administrator for the Planning Commission to review a minor conditional use permit allowing outdoor display associated with the commercial retail sales and a request for parking waivers at 130 Avenida Granada. The project is located in the mixed-use 3 zoning district and the architectural overlay, the central business district overlay, and the general plan pedestrian overlay. The project provides outdoor display on-site while maintaining 2 existing required on-site parking spaces and requests 2 parking waivers for the parking spaces required for the outdoor display of up to 800 square feet of retail items. The site is 4,000 square foot interior commercial lot. It was built in 1928. The lot was developed with a single-story, 1,000 square foot Spanish colonial revival building on the city's designated historic structures list. The building was constructed as a residence and then later converted into commercial use. The property owners completed a facade remodel in 2009 and completed a minor cultural heritage permit, improving the integrity of the historic structure and ridding the property of inconsistent improvements that were made over time. The improvements are Spanish colonial revival and design and improve the street appeal of the historic structure. The commercial property owner and project applicant, James and Ellen Bodas, operate La Casa Verde Grande with their family for the retail purposes of displaying antiques, furniture and decor, and clothing items both outside and within the building for sale. In response to a public complaint, the city opened a code enforcement case for the unpermitted outdoor display of merchandise at the front of the building within the 2 required parking spaces. Zoning Code Section 17.28-110 governs the outdoor display, and minor conditional use permit is required for the outdoor display items for sale. The applicant was instructed to apply for the MCUP for the outdoor display, and access to the 2 required parking spaces was required to be maintained until the applicant attained the minor conditional use permit and parking waivers or an off-site parking agreement to allow for the outdoor display to occupy any parking spaces. The project was heard by the zoning administrator on September 4th, 2025. The zoning administrator identified issues of parking being covered by outdoor display and historic building being partially obstructed by the outdoor display items. There was public concern with the project identified at the hearing, and so the zoning administrator referred it to the Planning Commission and the Cultural Heritage Subcommittee for review. The subcommittee held a hearing on December 10th and on 2025, and the city's development management team also reviewed the project and recommends approval with conditions included in attachment 1 of the report. The code provides that no outdoor display shall occupy any part of required parking area and new area used for outdoor display shall be calculated in determining parking requirements for the primary use. For the mixed-use zone and the central business district overlay, 1 parking space per 400 square feet of commercial area dedicated to outdoor space is required. Currently, the business provides 2 parking spaces. Proposed outdoor display areas are defined on a site plan within the report, showing the front and rear displaying a total of nearly 800 square feet, which require 2 additional parking spaces. Staff believes that the minimum standards can be met and the required findings can be made to continue the outdoor display use that has existed for many years for the existing business and previous businesses. Outdoor display exists in the front and rear of the property, consisting of the antiques, furniture and decor, clothing items associated with the primary use, which is retail. The outdoor display does not exceed the height of the building or the maximum height of the zone. The outdoor display does not encroach into the public right-of-way. However, in the past, it had obstructed required parking and partially obstructed the historic views of the historic building. The applicant proposes to maintain 2 parking spaces in the front and maintain outdoor display in areas that do not significantly obstruct the historic building, and limiting the height of the outdoor display to 42 inches in the front setback and in the parking areas to limit the visual clutter and allow the building to be seen from the public right-of-way. Other display requirements include planting and maintaining landscaping adjacent to the sidewalk to soften the scale of the outdoor display and provide a transition from the public right-of-way. Key items should be selected to enhance the architecture of the historical building by locating taller items closer to the building, and provide clear access to the entrance of the retail business, locating shorter display items at a limited height of 42 inches closer to the sidewalk. Approval of the outdoor display use requires parking alternatives since additional parking cannot be provided on site without disturbing the historical structure. The zoning administrator and the Cultural Heritage Committee advised the applicant to identify parking alternatives, including leasing parking from the owner of one of the private parking lots nearby, but the applicant states that this alternative was explored but could not come to terms to lease the parking, and the applicant is requesting parking waivers. There has been 64 parking space waivers issued to date. This is 35% of the 180 cap in the zoning ordinance. There is adequate parking supply in the downtown area to support the parking waivers according to the most recent parking study. The parking lot at 118 Avenida Rosa, as well as on-street parking on Victoria Avenue and Avenida Rosa, are at 50 to 85% capacity. The proposed parking waivers support the outdoor display request, and the pedestrian orientation is a contributor to the success of the retail location. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission determine the project is categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15301, Class 1, Existing Facilities, and adopt Resolution PC 26-011, approving public hearing PHP 24139 and minor conditional use permit 24140 for the outdoor display and 2 parking waivers for La Casa Verde Grande, subject to attached conditions of approval.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to see if we have any quick questions from my colleagues before getting to the applicant. Are there any, does anyone need any clarification on what Laura just was talking about? Yeah, Patrick?
Thank you. I just want to make sure I understand. The idea here is that they're required to have 2 parking spaces, but if we approve this, they won't have to have those anymore. They'll be able to put display on it, merchandise?
Early on in the project, that was maybe the thought, but as we went further on and the applicant, is looking to just request 2 parking waivers and stay within a minimum requested amount, that they're going to maintain the 2 parking spaces on site in the drive, and then they're requesting 2 parking waivers.
If I can clarify, the waivers are because in addition to the parking that's already there, that staff and the applicant now agree should be maintained for the business that's already there, the outdoor display itself, up to 800 square feet of retail outside, that would constitute essentially a new use or an intensity of use, and that would require 2 more parking spaces. And it's very hard to provide 2 more parking spaces beyond the 2 that are already there, because you'd have to tear down part of the historic building.
Thank you. That did help a lot. I appreciate that. And so the other question before, and I'll stop with that, this is, in the resolution, planning engineering state that 2 surface parking spaces must be maintained at all times free and clear of any outdoor display items or landscaping. If we're approving this, aren't we telling the applicant that they can put things in those 2 parking spaces, merchandise? And if so, this condition of approval doesn't seem to jive with.
No, we are requesting that they maintain the 2 parking spaces in the drive. Previously, the property owners had 3 large orange trees that they removed, and they're keeping the landscaping minimal on the sides of the drive. So,
And then as for the outdoor display itself, we've got a site plan that Laura worked with the applicant on that's kind of color-coded in your packet. That's meant to show where the outdoor display is allowed to be, up to 800 square feet, those boxes, and the parking is not supposed to be covered with outdoor
Okay,
display.
so that, you got to the point that I was making sure my head was around. They will be required to maintain 2 parking spaces with no merchandise on it. They're going to put merchandise in other areas besides those 2 spaces.
That's the staff recommendation.
Okay. then your condition makes perfect sense now. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else before we hear from the applicant?
No, the exhibit that Zach was referring to is printed in there for you in large format.
Yeah, we have it. It's up here. All right. We have some written comment also that I want to make sure everyone is aware of. It's in our record now, and it's also available on the agenda if anyone wanted to look at that. But I believe it's submitted by the applicant, so we're going to hear from the applicant now. I believe that is you, Ms. Waldstrom, is that correct?
That is correct.
You are welcome to come on up.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and being a business owner in San Clemente.
Thank you very much.
You've got 10 minutes to get to tell us your story.
Sounds great. Just to clarify, yes, so I have some pictures here too. So yes, the driveway is completely cleared now. So that is our 2 parking spots that we will have available for customers. And we're asking for a waiver for 2 more. That would be for our 800 square feet of outdoor space. So I am Amy Wallstrom. This is my mom here. My dad's at home not feeling well. My parents have been property owners in San Clemente since 1988 and have long demonstrated a deep commitment to preserving and enhancing the character of the community. In 1994, they purchased their 1928 Ole Hansen family home at 165 Avenida Miramar, included in the city's designated historical structure list and recognized for its traditional Spanish colonial revival architecture. Since purchasing their forever home, they have continued to invest in the history and charm that makes San Clemente unique. Both their home at 165 Avenida Miramar and their business, La Casa Verde de Granada at 130 Avenida Granada, have been featured on the garden tour of San Clemente, reflecting the care and pride they have devoted to both properties. In 1998, they purchased the Ole Hansen property at 130 Avenida Granada, a structure built in 1938, which is also included in the historic structures list. At the time of purchase, the property was home to Stepping Stone Preschool, operated by Pam, who continued to run the preschool there for another 10 years. La Casa Verde was also featured on the historical home tour this past year, further highlighting its importance as a cherished part of San Clemente's historic fabric. When Pam was ready to retire, my parents undertook thoughtful improvements to the property with the goal of restoring and strengthening its historic character. In 2009, they completed a full facade remodel under minor cultural heritage permit. These renovations were carefully designed to improve the integrity of the historic structure and to remove inconsistent alterations that had been made over time. The resulting improvements remain true to the Spanish colonial revival style and significantly enhance the property's street presence and architectural appeal. On the weekend of putting on the glitz in 2009, my parents opened La Casa Verde de Granada alongside other San Clemente locals, with the vision of providing the community with a vintage store focused on recycling, preservation, and the appreciation of vintage goods. Their goal was to bring like-minded people, creative people, their goal was to bring together like-minded, creative people and create a co-op that would help build community while promoting creativity, recycling, and a place to purchase pre-owned items. Their hope was that La Casa Verde would become a beloved local destination where people could discover hidden treasures, reconnect with memories from the past, find inspiration for their homes, or simply enjoy wandering through the store with friends, family, or even a dog while taking in everything the carefully curated shop has to offer. Initially, they were unsure how people would find them since the store is not located on San Clemente's main shopping street, Del Mar, but they were thrilled to be recognized by Sunset Magazine in 2010 as a place to visit in San Clemente. In 2012, when my late husband and I purchased our own San Clemente home, I became part of La Casa Verde. It quickly became a true passion of mine to find treasure that I knew our customers would love. Over the years, we have continued to welcome new customers finding us every day, while also being grateful for the loyal support of those who have been with us from the beginning. We definitely have our regular customers who come in weekly to see what new treasures have arrived, as well as our regular dog visitors who stop by for their daily treats. For over 16 years now, we have proudly served our community, building a loyal customer base and striving to create a welcoming environment for everyone who visits us. Since my husband's unexpected passing in 2021 at the age of 42, working at La Casa Verde has become my sole source of income as I provide for my 2 teenage boys, both of whom attend San Clemente High School. Because of this, La Casa Verde is not only deeply meaningful to me personally, but also essential to the well-being and support of my family. La Casa Verde de Granada is truly a local, family-owned and operated small business. It consists of my parents, Jim and Ellen Bodis, my brother Matthew and his partner Shelley, my cousin Gretchen, who also resides in San Clemente with her husband Red and their 2 kids, Colleen, who was raised here in San Clemente and continues to live here with her husband Jim, and myself. We love what we do and what we are able to provide for our community. A thoughtfully curated vintage store offering furniture, home goods, clothing, outdoor items, succulents, and so much more. The majority of our items are pre-loved. We carefully select each piece and display it beautifully so our customers can easily imagine it in their own homes. Through our business, we are able to offer great prices, help keep quality items out of the landfill, and provide our community with a place to shop locally and support a family-run business. We have also made improvements to the front of the business based on the suggestions we received. We removed the overgrown orange trees and planted succulents along the west side of the driveway. In addition, we restained the driveway and we removed all inventory from that area so the community can better see and appreciate the Ole Hansen building itself. The driveway is now also available for customers to park when needed. Through their stewardship, and now through mine as well, La Casa Verde represents more than property ownership or business. It reflects a lasting commitment to historic preservation, sustainability, community connection, and the unique spirit of San Clemente. It has become a place where history, family, and community come together, and it continues to serve as an important part of our lives and the lives of many others in the community. So I have some photos here that show the driveway cleared off and the orange trees that have been removed. Not sure if you have any questions.
Well, first of all, thank you
Thank you.
for being here tonight and preparing your presentation and giving us the story of your
Yeah.
family. We also appreciate the fact that you have done these improvements.
Thank you.
Let me just check and see if anyone has some questions. Got any questions? Scott? Commissioner McCann's got a question.
Thank you. That's a very moving history
Thank you.
of your family and the property.
Yes.
Are you okay with, and thank you for fighting through the city's arduous
We're
process.
here to
get
work with you.
Are you okay with, having the 2 parking spaces in front? Because before you used to display items in that area.
We did,
How do you feel
and
about it?
I felt like now I think with the orange trees gone, it has really opened up so people are able to see the business more. So I love that. I think the main worry I was worried about with the parking was just having customers pull into the driveway if we have customers coming and going. But I understand that we need to do it, so I'm okay having the driveway cleared. I'm just worried about safety for our customers.
Okay.
That's my only concern. But having it cleared, I'm okay with that. It actually makes it easier for me to open and close every day.
What percentage of your customers right now do you think are, pedestrians versus driving?
Yeah, I mean, I think so many of our customers are San Clemente locals, and they know that parking can be difficult in San Clemente. We have people that come on their e-bikes. I think living here, you just know that you find parking where you can on the street or one of the public lots, and I've never had anybody complain. Maybe, you guys maybe had a complaint, but we've never had anybody complain about parking. People walk, people ride their e-bikes, they find parking on the street. But we do definitely have new customers that are finding us from outside of San Clemente, which is great too. So we're bringing new people to San Clemente as well.
Can I say something?
Sure.
In the 16 years we've been in business, we've never had one car parked to use the driveway. The only time they use the driveway is if they buy a piece of furniture, they back up, we load it into the car, and they're gone in 5 minutes. But we've never had a car parked there in 16 years.
Yeah. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, we are going to take public comment. I've got 3 speaker cards, so if anyone else wants to speak and you haven't turned in a card, now would be a good time to do so. Oh,
Person that just spoke.
what's that?
I need the name of the person that just spoke.
Okay.
Amy Wallstrom.
No, Amy, was that your mom that spoke?
Yes, I spoke and then she just answered
Yeah.
the question about the.
Tamara just needed to get that for our minutes.
All right, thank you, yes.
Okay, so Larry, did you want to be the first speaker? Sure. Okay, so the first speaker tonight will be Larry Culbertson, and that will be followed by Kathy Donici. Okay, Larry?
Good evening, Commissioners. Larry Culbertson speaking on behalf of the San Clemente Historical Society. We support the approval of this project. We've long been concerned about the detrimental effect of any loss of downtown parking and the blockage of public view of historic buildings. These are the 2 issues that were raised regarding Casa Verde. However, we did not see either of these issues as being a problem. There are other historic buildings that are visually blocked far more than what was caused by the umbrellas and trees at Casa Verde. As far as parking is concerned, the 100 block of Avenida Granada does not seem to have a problem, nothing like at Avenida Del Mar. I find it sad that this business was put through the ringer for a minor situation. This business has been here for 17 years. It is one of only a very few of the Ole Henson era historic buildings that's open to the public. We're fortunate to have owners who respect the historic integrity of the building and are taking such good care of it. Many Ole Henson owners are not taking such good care of their buildings. The staff report does a good job of supporting compliance with the required findings for the approval of the minor conditional use permit and the request for parking waivers. Please approve the application with the staff recommended conditions of approval and determine that the project to be categorically exempt from CEQA. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry, for coming out tonight and giving us your comments. Kathy Dominici, do you want to go next, followed by Amanda Quintanilla?
Hi, I'm Kathy Dominichini. I'm a lifetime resident, and our family owns the property next door to the west with Sam's Shoe Store, Southwell, Perfect 10 Salon, and the big parking lot. And we have been neighbors since they opened up their shop over 15 years ago. And I want to say that Jim and Ellen are excellent neighbors. They're very conscientious. They've done a great job in maintaining their property, and we've worked together on various projects. And their indoor and outdoor displays were never an eyesore. They have a lot of taste in how they display things. To be honest, I'm sad to see the orange trees get cut down because they just added a lot of warmth and reflection of California. In addition to, they have just a great following there at the La Casa Verde. People are in and out of there all the time, big smiles on their face. They have a lot of repeat customers, and I want to support them in any way I can. It was our property that they investigated, seeing if they could lease some parking spots. However, we have been required by the city of San Clemente to have parking for our tenants, and all of our parking spots are taken. However, having said that, I would like to say that we have a loose agreement that obviously if somebody needs to back up their car and bring something and, or if they're unloading something that is difficult, they just park in our spot, for a little bit. It's not an issue. So I'm asking that you grant the parking waiver for this applicant and that you I noticed you have some outdoor display that you're allowing, and I support that. And I just hope that, like, as Larry indicated, I'm sorry that they had to go through such technical steps in order to get to this point, because they have always been very law-abiding and following guidelines, and it seemed kind of a little picky that somebody might have complained, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of places that you can complain about parking in San Clemente. So I would just support this waiver. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments tonight and taking the time to come out and express them to us. We appreciate it. Amanda, you're our final speaker unless someone else wants to speak.
Okay. Hello, Commissioners. When reading the staff report on page 2, it mentions that there was also public concern with the project identified at the hearing in the zoning administrator. However, that is not correct. That is, so I asked Tamara Teachich for the minutes. Oh, sorry.
That's not for you.
Okay, sorry. So it kind of interrupted my flow, sorry. So that's not true. There was no public concern because I was the only one that spoke on the September 4th, 2025 zoning administrator meeting, and it was in support of La Casa Verde. So that needs to be changed because that's not an accurate statement. There were negative comments in opposition to the coastal abode on Del Mar. However, there was no negative comments regarding the La Casa Verde. I'm the only one that spoke in support of La Casa Verde. As a longtime San Clemente resident of over 55 years, I've been a patron at La Casa Verde. I've been an art collector for decades in antiques, and they are the most fantastic wonderful people, fantastic place to go. It is just, and if there's any artwork that I buy, I go there for some frames that are really vintage, that are to the period, and they are just fantastic. There's also comments regarding the succulents, that they should maintain their plants. I've been there, and they do maintain their plants. They do maintain their trees. They've trimmed the one in the back, which now I feel like there's less shade than before, and I do agree that cutting down the orange trees in the front was really heartbreaking, because that's what we down here we're all about in southern Orange County, all the orange groves that I remember passing by in Irvine and in San Juan, and having those orange groves there. So I feel that please grant the waivers that they need. And as far as their outdoor displays, they were always very tasteful, they were just wonderful, wonderful displays. One of the concerns back in September 18th of 2025, the parking lot on 150 Granada basically was closed off. And I reached out to city staff, and Mr. Ream called me on that, and he was going to look into it. I guess there was a lapse in the contracts with that parking lot, and it got remedied very quickly. So there are parking areas along on Granada, and as you stated, as city staff stated, on Rosa. But I really in support of this, of La Casa Verde, and just hopefully that the comments will be changed in the staff report to reflect it was a positive support for La Casa Verde. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments and letting the staff know about the record. Do we have any other questions for the applicant tonight or staff? But I want to make sure we do that, and then we'll have our discussion. So Commissioner Griffin, do you want to?
Thank you. Just a question to the attorney or Zach. Is the commission in our deliberation, are we to know what the public complaint was, what it looked like, or not?
I think it's okay if staff know, I don't have that information. It's okay if staff wants to give a brief overview of that. And also, may I interrupt real fast? Chair, the applicant does have that 3-minute rebuttal.
You're right.
But go ahead. I think this can,
Since
go
it was
ahead.
all in positive, I didn't think there's anything to rebut, right? You're in agreement, I assume. Yeah, okay.
I can speak to the context of the zoning administrator hearing. So what we're missing in there is the word potential. That was a decision that the zoning administrator made and an action of the zoning administrator made. The zoning administrator may refer at their discretion any item that has the potential for public concern to the planning commission. Amanda's right, there wasn't any public concern expressed at that hearing. However, there were members of the public available in the audience for that hearing, and then a related matter on another outdoor display item that Amanda referenced nearby did have some public concern. So in my view, the zoning administrator referred both items to the planning commission because there were some similarities. One of them had expressed public concern, the other one just had more public interest.
So that you're clarifying the staff report right now?
Yeah, so the staff report is missing the word potential.
Got it.
In explaining why the zoning administrator made that decision. That wasn't a staff analysis that there was concern, that was the zoning administrator's referral to the planning commission.
Got it. And now could you talk to us a little bit about the complaint?
The complaint, I believe, was filed anonymously to the city's code enforcement
But
division.
what did it say? What were they complaining about?
I believe the parking being obstructed by outdoor display items, and then the code enforcement subsequently discovered they didn't have a permit for outdoor
Okay,
display.
thank you.
Whether or not it's blocking parking, you need a permit just to do outdoor display.
That's what I was asking, is what was the complaint about, and do we need to know about it? So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else, questions? Scott, you good? Were you?
Good till discussion.
Yeah. I just wanted to, Gary, I have a quick question. Do you have any? All right. Does condition 1.9, this calls for a landscape plan, including the planting of a new tree. Are you aware of that, Amy? Are you aware of that, condition 1.9 on your, okay. Good, I'm glad I brought it up. It's the last condition on the staff report. I'm going to read it to you since you, okay, it says, prior to issuance of the permit, the property owner shall provide a landscape plan identifying a new tree at the southwest street fronting corner of the property and the existing planters at the southeast corner of the property. All landscaping must be maintained in healthy growing order outside of the required parking area on the driveway. Who from the staff wants to speak to that? Could I get some explanation for the rationale for this, please?
So per the zoning code, properties in commercial areas have to have one tree for every 25 feet of street frontage. This property is 40 feet wide, so in theory, they should have 2 trees. Historically, they had a bunch of orange trees all blocked in the corner. Those were causing a site obstruction and also a physical obstruction of the parking area. So it makes sense that they were removed. You don't need a permit to remove a tree, but in effect, they've made their property more non-conforming as to the code by removing the one tree that existed there. So the staff recommendation, given that this is a discretionary hearing, would be that they plant at least one tree. I think we were willing to settle for planters on one of the corners, but figure out where to put a tree on one of the other corners.
What's with the prescriptive guidance here, where you're identifying the location of the southwest street fronting corner? Why, is there a reason for that? Normally not that prescriptive.
Yeah, I think
It's got to go here.
I think
Is
we
there a
would drop
reason?
that.
Okay.
And we're open to your feedback on the landscaping in general. I just learned listening to the hearing that they've provided succulents in that corner.
Yes.
The code requires one tree per 25 feet, so.
Do we have the latitude to maneuver with that tonight? Can we relieve this condition? What's your thought on that?
I would say you have some latitude.
Okay. I'm going to call the applicant up. Ms. Wallstrom, would you give us your point of view on what I read to you as, do you want to plant another tree? Is that something you would like to do, or what's your thoughts?
I had no idea about the trees. We took out the orange trees because it was our understanding they were encroaching on the driveway. So we figured, okay, those had been there for 16 years because my dad planted them when we opened the store. And yes, they had gotten overgrown, so we took those out, and my dad and I planted all those succulents along the side. We have the ginormous mimosa tree in the backyard, which we're assuming was put in when the house was built in '39. I don't know if that doesn't count as our tree, as like,
Is it street frontage? Is that what the point
The
of the
code
ordinance
says
is?
street frontage, which is usually the front 20-foot setback area.
Okay, okay. What's your feeling about a new tree on the front? Do you want to do that? Is that a benefit to you for shade and, or no, or what do you think?
if we're able to not do it, I think that would be easier for us to maintain just the succulents now. For us to maintain that tree in the backyard, which we absolutely love, but it's a lot to maintain that huge tree back there. So I feel like if we're having to put a tree in the front, that's one more thing we're gonna have to maintain.
Do you have, because I'm looking at your, would it be in the Planters Act? Is that what you're suggesting, this southwest
Do you have
corner?
the photos, Zach?
Yeah.
I have them here of the.
There's a planter that's kind of affronting the sidewalk. Is that where you were indicating it would go?
I think when we said southwest, we thought the orange trees might be replaced by a small tree south toward the ocean.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, there's a planter on the side as well. There's a planter on the side and there's a planter in on the east side.
Yeah, so if it's the judgment of the planning commission that the living material in those two planters is adequate, I think staff would concur.
You'd live with that? Okay.
Okay,
And that's your preference as well?
that would be our preference as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That's all my questions. Anyone else? Can I close the public hearing? All right. Staff, you good? No more comments? Public hearing's now closed. I'm going to open it up for discussion. Commissioner McCann, do you mind leading us off, please? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Again, I'm very sympathetic and I don't know exactly what you've been through, but I want to apologize of what you've had to go through. I'm very supportive of the project, except, well, one, I like striking 1.9. I think that's unnecessary. I think what they did, the succulents look great and they'll be easy to maintain, and it allows more visibility of the structure, and planting another tree there just has the potential to, undo all that stuff. I personally don't see the value of maintaining 2 parking spaces in front of the home. I think it's potentially dangerous, driving back and forth across the sidewalk and backing up across the sidewalk. I think if you, and then, then it's gonna say, okay, well, can they put some items there? In my opinion, yes, which they have done in the past. But those items you can see through, and you can still see the beauty of the structure, as opposed to if 2 cars parked there, or heaven forbid, 2 Sprinter vans parked there, you can't see it at all. So, and if they didn't have those parking spaces, you could park in front of the drive approach on the street, so you gain 1 back. As a net, you don't lose 2, you just lose 1. So I'm curious to see how my fellow commissioners would be about not giving them 2 more parking waivers and not making them maintain those spots.
Otherwise, so what I'm hearing from you is you're in support of the application, the MCUP.
Well, except I want to explore if anyone else is supportive of not making them have any parking spaces in front of the
Okay,
thing.
okay. Let's hear from others. Patrick, Commissioner?
I just said he stole my thunder. I was going to make the exact same recommendation or suggestion. I think those spaces make no sense. The only part of this that, for me at least, the umbrellas up do kind of block the view. If it was just materials out there that's for sale that go back in at night, I would definitely support it. Giving them 4 parking waivers.
Okay. Commissioner Freeman, did you want to weigh in? And then we'll go to you, Gary.
Sure. So I'm in complete agreement with everything that's been said. Strike 1.9, I think that's over restrictive. Also, I like the idea of not utilizing the 2 parking spaces as parking spaces. Just looking at the photo, the one on the right, you're probably going to get wheel damage and whatnot because it doesn't look like it's really accessible. But if you make that in front of it a parking space, you're +1. So again, in agreement with the possibility of 4 parking waivers,
Okay.
and that's where I'm at.
Okay, Gary?
Well, I agree with everything, and I would agree with the last portion of, eliminating the 2 spots if I knew ahead of time how many other existing residential properties in our city have turned into a business use, where this would set a precedent, and then they all could come in and ask for the same thing, and not knowing upfront what that would, create. So I'm not sure that that I have enough data really to kind of make a decision. I feel the same way you guys do from a practical government purpose. We would be giving them some kind of a special dispensation that I don't know how many other properties exist that are residential, turned to business, because this is a residential property. And I don't know why it exists between the parking lots. I'm assuming they didn't want to sell at the time that things were kind of expanding. And this could be used as a precedent for any other that may not have this same situation. So I'm a little leery. I'm in favor of the project, but I'm a little leery of that extra favoritism that we're given at the time. They could come back at another time and ask once the staff would have time to say how many residential properties along Granada, which I don't know at this time, have been turned into, business properties that do have that drive-up approach. Because you, in essence, are giving a business some favoritism that no other business has in town.
Do you,
That's it.
Do you guys want to talk?
I just.
I'm not against it. Go ahead. But I'm thinking from a legislator, I'm being an old not prosecutor.
No, I think it's a valid point. I
So
would.
if I were to vote no, it would just be for that point.
Yeah, but what I would suggest is that there is a surplus of parking in the area. There are not parking issues. The staff has told us that there are not parking issues in the area. So for this property, I think we could make that finding to let them have 4 waivers. And each next project that comes and asks, we'll take one at a time. That's how I see it. And make a determination whether there's surplus parking for that next one that asks, and then evaluate whether it makes sense.
When I've been downtown like Del Mar, I don't know when you can't find a spot on Del Mar unless you want to go down to the library, you turn the corner and you go down Granada, or you go down, the other street. So I consider that Granada is not isolated. It's all a part of the Del Mar parking problem that we're studying. And you're just putting 2 more cars out on the street.
Staff, what are the hours of operation for La Casa Verde de Granada?
10 to 6.
Okay, so that's, when would we think that our biggest parking problem on Del Mar is?
I mean, it's anecdotal, right, but it's probably the evening hours.
Right, probably after 6, generally.
At least starting around dinner time, yeah.
Right, right.
I would bring to, first of all, let me just jump in here real quick. I like where this is going with respect to showing some love to our applicant tonight. I would say that I found that the design review session was actually a productive conversation. There was a lot of confusion about this, and I think we cleared it up. However, it was rooted in an issue that is going to come around again and again to this body. In fact, we have another one that will come shortly, same exact thing, only this one's on Del Mar. And I would caution you to think this through, because if we are not clear on the policy that we're setting, and we're just wanting to give favor because we like them and they've done a great job and they're nice people, we are going to be asked by other nice people for the same thing. The idea is this, in my opinion, because I have been at this for a while after design review, because another applicant that came through design review with the exact same issue was very confused why they are being asked to do this. And as it turns out, in talking with staff during the design review hearing, it turns out that this is a longstanding policy of the city, is to keep the merchandise of a retail store off the frontage, so that it's accessible, the building's accessible. Because if you start allowing people on Del Mar and other areas to start bringing stuff out, it's going to change the vibe. It's going to make a swap meet-like feel of our small village by the sea. And so if we look at it kind of at a very macro level, without kind of, zeroing in here, I can see the reason for why we're discussing this. But if we look at it and say, from the setting of an example of what we're trying to do here in San Clemente, this may not be the right decision, in my view, because of that. And we're going to see other things on El Camino Real in the T-zone where people are dragging stuff out onto the sidewalk, doing the same thing, looking for the same benefit. But we have another one that's on Del Mar that is a residential home and they've cleared their driveway as well, and it looks very, almost identical situation here. And I do think it's an improvement to have the driveway open. I do think there's a benefit for picking up and delivering furniture and all the rest. It's easily accessible. If there's a way that we can make it such that, it's more or less open, but if you wanted to put a few things on the edges, I don't think that's going to be a problem, right? But for us to formally say, put whatever you want out there, as much as you want, I would caution us not to do that. That would be my thoughts on that. But we would, basically suggest that leave it there for deliveries and pickups, but if you have stuff on the edges and there's flexibility there, but not to pile stuff in the driveway. That would be my perspective on it. Otherwise, I think this is something we should move forward on right away. So I want to get some reactions to that, and then someone can make a motion.
I think there's a distinction between putting merchandise on private property and being worried that people on Del Mar are going to put merchandise in the public right-of-way. There's a major distinction between those two, in my opinion. And I'm not disputing that everything you've said, Chairman, about setting precedent, et cetera, but I think it would only apply, the precedent would only apply to the next private property that has a private driveway where they want to display something.
There is one in the pipeline.
Right. And you mentioned that, and I appreciate knowing that. I think it's a good thing for us to know. But there is a distinction between that and, people on Del Mar bringing out goods and putting them on display in the public right-of-way, which is not allowed, and they would be ticketed for doing that.
Yeah, there is some dispute where the right-of-way is, and some people feel like it's their property, and the right-of-way doesn't start there.
They'll find out
But
pretty
that's-
quick that it isn't.
That's not for us to decide, but I'm just letting you know. We've had that conversation.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Anyway, someone want to make a motion?
And I think that there's a distinction too. I mean, there's a significant distinction. I mean, a big part of our role is we have discretion. And, there's a big distinction between Granada and Del Mar relative to parking, pedestrians, sight distance, visibility, and all those kinds of things. these people have a long history of running a good, clean, beautiful operation, letting people experience their Ole Hansen home. So I hear what you're saying. I would make a motion to not require any parking spaces on the driveway, grant them 4 parking waivers. And as an aside, what I heard in the presentation was that there's about 35% of the parking waivers are used, so there's lots of them available still at this point. Anyway, no parking spaces on the driveway, grant them a total of 4 parking waivers. I don't know if we can call that 3 because they're gonna gain 1 back on the street. I don't know if that's,
Because you can't park in front of a driveway, so no.
but as a practical matter, you could. But anyway, and then also striking condition 1.9.
Second.
All right, I think we need clarification on your motion, Commissioner McCann. Do you mind putting it in the context of the resolution? We have condition of approval 1.8. 2 surface parking spaces must be maintained at all times, free and clear of any outdoor display items or landscaping. What I would recommend is your motion, it would be to alter that in some way. Perhaps 1 surface parking space must be maintained free at all time. That would essentially expand it by 50%, but would also provide quick loading or unloading and would allow the flexibility that I'm talking about without necessarily removing the entire thing.
Right.
So that would be if you're open to that amendment, to alter it that way, and then with the removal of 1.9, I think that would be sufficient clarity. If
I'd also like to hear what the findings would be, that we're not following the municipal code. What findings do you find that, to allow you to not follow the municipal code?
What findings do you find to not follow the municipal code in granting them 2 parking waivers to begin with?
Well, 2 parking waivers can probably be sustained because it's a residential property, they have 2,
But it's operating as a commercial property.
okay? And what other businesses have we said that you don't have to have any parking on your parcel?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either, so tell me what your findings are.
Well,
I'm in
my-
favor of this,
my-
but I think trying to argue over the 2, as the city recommends, the 2 parking staffs, you're not going to get a unanimous decision.
Well, for one, I would say as a safety.
It's only fair to those who are coming forward. What are going to be your findings for that, to not follow the code?
I would say safety to not have
Then
an
put that
increased
in
number
the-
of people driving back and forth across the sidewalk and backing out onto the street and so
But
forth.
every day I drive across my sidewalk backwards, and so do a lot of other people.
Yeah, but not in a downtown commercial
Granada-
mixed-use zone.
Can I ask a clarifying point about safety and also the resolution that you're making? It would be staff's recommendation if you want to allow unwaivered outdoor display in that area, which you may do, you may grant up to 10 parking waivers, that you actually grant 5, not 4, because you have to also provide a waiver for the outdoor display in that area that you're now allowing. You're allowing 400 more square feet of outdoor display that would otherwise require parking. So you're taking away the 2 and you're allowing more display. That's 5 waivers. Staff would also recommend that you, for safety, that you require the curb cut be closed. There's precedent for that with other businesses when their on-site parking is removed or reduced, that the applicant pays the cost or does the work themselves to close the curb cut and repair the sidewalk for public safety. If you did that, perhaps you could argue that you're reducing it back down to 3 or 4 waivers.
Well, I think that, first of all, we'll explore Chairman Cosgrove's 1 parking spot, but just because we would propose potentially to remove the parking spaces, they still might want to use that space as a loading zone, or they could, as has been discussed, or they could optionally use that as parking spaces if they wanted. We're not saying you can't have any parking there, and we're not explicitly saying that you must fill it with outdoor display. We were simply saying that you didn't have to have 2 parking spaces there. Now, regarding the, as far as findings, I would say that this is a unique circumstance, that it's been operating for 17 years, and it's been used occasionally as for loading, but over that time, one person has parked there once. So that's a pretty good track record of history of what it is, and it's a public safety issue. I'm curious to see what my fellow commissioners think about Chair Cosgrove's 1 parking space compromise. I could support that.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. And everybody else nodding, yes, you're good?
I don't think that that's actually gonna add an extra space. I mean, you'll have the 1 space in the parking, but then you'll lose the space out front. So it's a 1-for-1 as far as that. And in this, we're not saying that those parking spaces are gonna be used for display or not.
It just gives them flexibility is what
Right.
we're saying,
And that's.
without making new precedent.
And the other thing for me was, we're comparing apples to oranges, Del Mar, to this location, because you've got the parklets, you've got all the things that were temporary during COVID, and those have not gone away. And they keep expanding that. So the parking on Del Mar is a completely separate issue than this, in my opinion. But as far as the 1 spot, I could support that either way. So-
Okay.
It does have the benefit of not setting precedent of removing all the parking.
Right.
So there's that benefit.
But to the issue of backing up, what direction does every car in Del Mar go when they pull out? Every car,
Del Mar has angled parking.
right, but you're still going what way? You're still
Depends if
going
you're going up
backwards,
or
and
downhill.
you gotta look for oncoming traffic. I think, the safety issue.
But you're not backing across the sidewalk. That's the difference.
Well, that doesn't matter. I mean, you're backing against the traffic. The biggest thing is getting hit by a car. I'm just saying you're setting a precedent. I'm not against it, but I think you're making favorable conditions for, just as long as they're put in there while you're doing it.
Okay, well,
How am I gonna say no to the next one?
but I think our job as planning commission, the reason why we're here is to, use our discretion.
To alter the city code? Right.
No, well, to see
Interpret.
as it applies to each individual project on each individual site in each location. So I'll revise my motion to strike condition 1.9 and to alter condition 1.8 to say 1 parking space must be maintained at all times, free and clear of any outdoor display. And then, I don't know where else it would be in here, but grant them 3 parking waivers and not 2.
Yeah,
Is that,
Zach?
or is it 4?
No, just 3.
Because they're.
If you're granting 3, staff's interpretation is that would still cap their outdoor display at 800 square feet plus the 1 space being removed. If you want to allow them more outdoor display, they're at 764 now, so you'd be granting them 36 more feet kind of around the periphery.
So 4.
If you want to grant more than 36 extra square feet, you probably want to go with 4 waivers.
No, 36 extra feet
Okay.
for a total of 800.
So they can, they could also be flexible with the 800 if they have to move one of these boxes a little. That's what you're granting them, is 800 square feet of outdoor display minus the 1 space that's being removed.
Right, so they have the option of going into the driveway in the 1 space if they want to. That's the flexibility.
And explicitly, no requirement to redo curb cuts and so forth.
Right.
That's part of my motion too.
Okay.
And
So
you,
I'll support seconding that. Thank you.
okay. Are we, Zach and Laura, are you clear on that and that implications of that? The applicant, you understand what we're doing tonight? Okay. All right, is there any further discussion on the matter?
I just have a quick question. As far as the waivers, are these reviewed at some point, or is this eternal?
The city council authorized a program for 180 parking waivers in the T-zone area, which, as Commissioner McCacken pointed out, is not just Del Mar, but the streets around Del Mar, and about a third of them have been used so far, so staff basically just maintain a spreadsheet.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The
go. No, you
question
go.
was, if you're granting this to this applicant, does it expire or get looked at a date certain? Or does it just go on in perpetuity? That's what we were wondering.
There's no expiration written into
Thank
the
you.
authorization. If it changed property owners or uses, then there could be an argument that it's changed.
Got it.
Thank you.
All right, are we all clear on the motion? And there's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, so you have been granted a minor conditional use permit for your outdoor display. You've also been granted 4 parking waivers in order to, or 3, sorry, no, we did 3 waivers so that you can, if you want to use, you have 800 square feet. Part of that, if you want to put it on one half of the driveway, it's up to you. Now you have flexibility. That's what we've done. And we've removed the landscape requirement. This will be in effect after the council meeting of April 21st, assuming it's not pulled. Otherwise, it goes into effect the next day. You come in and you can pull your permit and you're good to go. All right? Thank you very much for all your investment in San Clemente and your continued, support. We appreciate that.
We appreciate you guys.
Okay, very good.
Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I make a quick comment? I meant to say this before it's not germane to the motion, but the comment that was made by a couple folks about putting the applicant through the ringer, I'm concerned about that. And my concern is if they did not have to, if we didn't get a complaint, they wouldn't have gone through the ringer. So I think people think we should ignore a complaint, and I don't agree with that. It's counter to what we do here. If one person in the city complains about something, they have a right to complain about it. And yes, it set off a series of events that are very unfortunate, but I don't think you would want us to turn away and not listen to you if you were complaining. So it just bothered me that that was stated, and I wanted to just get it on the
Appreciate
record.
you doing that, yeah. That was my reason for mentioning that we worked through this at design review. Because, and the ringer is confusion. What is allowed? Why was the complaint valid? If it wasn't valid,
Yep.
there wouldn't have been no progress on this, would have just been hey, it's not valid, but it was valid due to the restrictions on the outdoor display that were exceeded. So we cleared all that up in design review, and I'm hopeful, I'm looking at the applicant for a nod or a yes or no, that at the end of the day, everybody's happy and maybe even feeling better off as a result, that the end result is good.
Yes, we got to where we needed to get.
Thumbs up. Very good. Okay, thanks again.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. That takes us to the item 8B, which is also a public hearing, which I believe I opened last time. This is a continuation, is it not? Or is this brand new? I thought it was a continuation.
The previous ones, I think, were
It's just part
noticed.
two.
This is noticed as a public hearing. The previous ones were like new business because
Got
they're
it.
just a staff
So
presentation.
I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing and do the introduction of the matter before us. Item 8B is a zoning amendment. It's numbered 26-062, and it's labeled zoning cleanup amendments. And this is a public hearing for the Planning Commission to recommend to the City Council city-initiated amendments to clean up and clarify sections of our zoning code. And that's, we've got a bucket of those that is going to be presented to us tonight by our lead project planner, David Curlow. David?
Yes, good evening, Chair, members of the commission. I want to introduce one of our interns as well. We have Reese Miller here with me, joining me. So as mentioned, the item right now is the zoning cleanup amendments. Some background, this has been an ongoing effort to improve the development review process and to clarify and update the code as we find necessary. Back in May 20th of 2025, the City Council initiated the code amendments that are before you tonight. And we previously brought another batch a couple months ago as well that are a part of that, the code amendments that the City Council initiated last year. Prior to this meeting today, on February 18th and March 18th, staff introduced the amendments to the Planning Commission for preliminary feedback. And so I'll go over what those amendments are and then go over the Planning Commission feedback as well as staff responses. So today's goal is to reintroduce and discuss the cleanup amendments and for staff to receive a Planning Commission recommendation to City Council. So the proposed amendments outlined in the staff report relate to accessory structures, the commercial use table, specifically for the NC 1.2 zone. They're related to walls, the sign ordinance, definitions, and landscaping. At the March 18th Planning Commission meeting, here's some commission feedback that we received related to the landscaping item. So there was a request to clarify when the use of artificial turf may be allowed. Staff has clarified that and amended the code accordingly to clarify that artificial turf is allowed in areas where plant material is not required or when it's to replace existing grass turf. There's also a comment from the commission to improve guidance to the public on landscaping requirements. And staff is currently creating or has created a handout with landscape guidelines consistent with Orange County Fire Authority guidelines and other state organizations as it relates to the regulation of landscape and hardscape. So you'll notice that in the landscaping code amendments, there's reference to a landscape guidelines and specifications handout. And so what that looks like is what's before you on the screen. It is a landscape guidelines and specifications form. That's the image to the left. And then what will back that up would be a landscape and xeriscape brochure. So explaining the image on the left, which is the landscape guidelines and specifications. This is basically a decision tree that staff will be using to guide the public, and it'll clarify what type of plan would be required, whether it's a preliminary landscape plan or a comprehensive landscape plan, and then some guidance on whether or not WELO compliance is required. And then we did send these two documents to the Planning Commission for review prior to the meeting, and we can discuss further after the presentation. And so the other document is the xeriscape brochure. Xeriscape is a style of landscaping that uses drought-tolerant landscaping. And again, we can go into further detail, but the idea is to use these two documents when giving guidance to the public. And to further provide guidance, we are working on a plant list. This is an example of the list. I think we have a document that's around, I don't know, a little over 10 pages. And so this is an example, a screenshot from that list. You'll see that we have types of planting provided which are OCFA approved and California native. There's a legend key to the left that you can reference. There's some clarification on which plants from this list are California native and then which one is the San Clemente flower. We don't show the San Clemente flower here. Another item that received comments from from the planning commission was related to the roof elements and height calculations. So there was a comment that staff should expand on the presentation to explain the objective of adding the definition. So we have noted that, and we're prepared to do that in the future, near future. The planning commission also suggested that the definition of the roof element be presented to the design review subcommittee and planning commission for feedback before moving this item forward to the city council. So staff did remove this item from the current batch that's before you today, and is planning to bring this back to planning commission, to a planning commission study session on April 22nd to discuss this topic. So in conclusion, staff is recommending that the planning commission determine the zoning code amendments are not subject to CEQA because they do not constitute a project as defined by the state CEQA guidelines, and adopt the subject resolution recommending the city council adopt the zoning code amendments. And this concludes our presentation, and we do have staff available for any questions.
If I can just supplement the presentation a little bit, I wanted to make two clarifications. One, there's a slight error that I'd like to correct in our recommendation on page 54. If the planning commission's supportive of the changes on page 54 to accessory structures, measuring the distances to primary structures, we're missing the word "b" on page 54, section C1A. There shall be a 5-foot setback between accessory and primary buildings. So staff would carry forward that recommendation to the city council. The action you're taking today is just a recommended action, if you agree with adding the word "b." And then on what David just said about the roof element discussion, we're going to bring that to the full planning commission at our next hearing. That was a decision of the city planner and our legal team, who decided it wasn't really a purview of design review subcommittee. There was some discussion at the end of the last meeting where that could either go to DRSC or schedule a study session. We decided to schedule a study session, and that's been removed from this batch. So really the only item of concern in this batch is probably the landscaping, and let us know if you want to talk about the definitions or these guidance documents. I guess that's point 3. We're not recommending that you approve these guidance documents today. These are things that we're going to put on the website and have available to the public. We're recommending that you approve some pretty specific code changes. This would just help the public understand the code a little bit better.
Thank you,
That's
Zach.
it.
As I understand it, you're looking for feedback, not versus approval, on this brochure and maybe this document as well, with the flow
Yeah,
chart?
that flow chart, believe it or not, is a simplified version of the process we've been
Okay,
using.
great. Yeah, I would, I think what's relevant for my colleagues to maybe focus on would be the square foot cutoff where it goes to the consultant, and I think you guys are recommending it's 500 square feet, it goes to a consultant. Below that, it's administerial. Is that correct? Okay, so
Correct.
that, I would have my colleagues look at that. Then the other thing but what you are asking us to do is to recommend to the city council these cleanup, if you will, for the accessory structures, which is around how the setbacks will be measured. It's really more instructional, and it's not changing the code at all. It's just clarifying wall or post where you'd start your measurements from, and to get to your minimum 5-foot setback. The other thing that you're doing, I'm just trying to make sure my colleagues are, what I'd like to do is maybe just walk through my understanding. Stop me if you have a question, and then at the end of it, I think we'll be good. Does that sound good? So does anyone have any questions about the accessory structure changes? Good?
Where are we?
We're
Where are
going,
you?
the staff report. And it would be, I'm summarizing the red lines. So you'd have to flip through the red lines.
Well,
You'd have to go.
I was looking at the.
Go to your first red lines on accessory structures, which I don't know what page
Wait, in
the staff report.
Or,
That's the staff report there, the
okay,
handout.
in
The
amendments to, okay.
Yeah, because that's what I'm looking at.
Well, do you know what page you're on?
Nope. Is it 54? Thanks.
Is that where you talked about 500 square feet for professional review? Is that,
That's the flow chart.
okay.
I just want to point out that's the operative thing here. This flow chart says if it's 500 feet or more, you go to a consultant. Below, administrator.
I would like clarification on that. Are you saying that this is staff's recommendation, or is this in the code? 500 feet is the cutoff?
David?
Let me see the screen. We don't have that in the code. This is as it relates to Wheelo, I believe. Let me bring that screenshot back.
And just, Zach, for just a suggestion, I don't know what WELO means, so I presume that your reader probably won't know either. You might just spell that out.
Yeah, I hope I get this right. That's the California State Water Efficiency Landscape Ordinance, which says that if your project is over 500 square feet of new landscape or hardscape that's not already there, you need a pretty detailed review that our staff aren't that good at doing, so we usually send it to a landscape consultant. Also, if you have over 2,500 square feet of replacement of landscape that's already there, you also need that detailed review. If it's under that, then staff do it administratively.
And so, to my question, is that codified in the ordinance, or is that how you do it at the counter?
We have go ahead.
No, I was going to say it is not codified. This is
Okay.
consistent with WELO, with the Water Efficiency Landscape Ordinance.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that WELO is a state requirement, yes, it's a state regulation. And I think also part of it is it requires, for new development, I don't know about when someone brings something in for existing, but for new, doesn't it require 75% California native plant requirement as well for that landscape plan?
WELO has some flexibility. It's more about the water usage. So if you can prove that you're not increasing your water usage substantially over the average for your metropolitan area, it doesn't set a specific percentage threshold.
Okay.
Our code previously had a 60% threshold for California native. Staff's recommending that be increased from 60 to 75. Although we're also recommending that there still be some allowance for either natural grass or artificial turf in some circumstances, if not required.
Yeah, because my understanding is that there have been changes in the standard by the state from 60 to 75. That's a state change in their standard.
That would be great, because I think we're applying this to the city code, but if they line up, we will add it to our guidance document.
Yeah, you just got to follow that. What I wanted to do is kind of separate the flow chart and the brochure from the zoning. So the zoning is the red lines. This is feedback. So why don't we hold this off for now, and let's just go through the zoning and make sure everybody's comfortable with all the changes that the staff is doing. I think I am at globally, because they're pretty much cleanup and clarifying things. There's nothing new that is being required that I can see. It's just, let's clarify how we do the measurement, like accessory structures, it's around clarifying how do you measure the setback, right? So I just want to kind of get nods, or stop me if you want to ask the staff questions, and I'll move through the whole thing, all the changes. But that's that. Any questions about that? I think that's just clarifying how you measure the setback. Correct, David?
Correct.
Okay, then the next one is landscaping. I believe what you do here is you introduce vertical landscaping as acceptable way for non-residential lots to meet landscaping requirements. And now this is where you talk about artificial turf and where living plant material is not required when it replaces existing grass. So that's the big change there. The other thing that you're doing, I think, is you're giving the city planner discretion to waive landscape requirements when the Orange County Fire Authority fuel modifications or safety standards require it.
Correct.
Anybody have questions about the landscaping? I'm just trying to summarize it as best I can. Great. Commissioner McCann's got a question, David.
Well, it's not great, but 'cause I'm slowing the meeting down.
That's all right.
Which I don't like doing, for the record. I'm against anything that gets more restrictive and more difficult for our residents. Let's start there, that's my perspective where I'm coming from. So I'm looking at general landscape requirements, section A, living plant materials, and you just said that you guys were going from 60% to 75%.
The state is doing
Well,
it.
hang on, you said it was the state.
Yeah.
They said they were just raising it from 60 to 75. You said you think it's the state.
So there's two different percentages. We're not changing the percentage of area on a residential or commercial property that has to have landscaping or living plant material. That's usually 50% of the front setback has to have landscaping of some kind.
Right.
What we are saying is that of that 50%, we are recommending 75% of the 50 be native drought tolerant, which would leave you only 25 for a grass lawn.
And that's what
essentially.
I'm saying, the state regulation is calling for this, that's what they're calling, the state's
Okay,
calling for.
are you 100% sure that the state regulation's saying that?
I am. 'Cause I
Okay.
looked it up.
Only because you're saying that, am I okay with it?
Okay,
Which I'm not
good.
even okay with it, but I'll
But-
go along with it.
Yeah,
But I don't want to, say, oh, well, because it sounds like you guys were unaware of that, but you just thought, hey, we should raise it 75%, and that's just more
It's
more
a Wheelo-
restrictive
It's
for.
a Wheelo thing, yeah. Because
Okay.
I was shocked and how do people keep up on this? So I looked it up.
Okay.
Is it more restrictive? It's just a different mix.
It's just
It's,
a different
it-
mix.
it's more, it gives less choice to the consumer, to the
Right.
resident, to the guy that owns golf courses and likes to see green grass in his yard, he has less option. It's just less flexibility and less personal choice for the people, so, okay. Go on, I'm.
Okay,
That's,
that's landscaping. The next one is walls and fences.
okay, I'm sorry, can we go back?
Yeah.
It says here that there has to be 75% California native. Can it not be California native? Can it be drought tolerant? If they can show that what they want doesn't use more water than that, like, does it have to be specific to California native?
It would require that it be native, and they would have to prove that. And
But
the,
that's what
the-
you're suggesting.
that's a suggestion, the recommendation, yes.
Although the
Okay.
code already says California native, what we're suggesting is change the number 60 to 75. The code's got California native in there already.
Do you know if the state law says California native or just says drought tolerant?
It says California native, but I think those are more or less interchangeable.
Okay, moving on.
Okay. Walls and fences, this establishes the minimum setback between retaining wall and other fence to prevent the appearance of like a solid fence. There's supposed to be some separation there, so you're clarifying that. You have a way of calculating that, and it made sense to me. And then you have a lot of exceptions if there are problems. So I think that worked for me, if anyone wants to jump in on that. There's also and this was where we did have some discussion about a 2-foot deep planted area at the base of retaining wall in sensitive areas in like front yards or coastal canyons, that you're asking for the 2-foot planted area, correct? Yeah, yeah.
I believe we're sticking with the staff recommendation that 2 feet be required. I think there could be some interpretation with these new guidelines that you could have succulents. You don't have to have a deep-rooted
Yeah.
system if there's a foundation.
Yeah, that's right. The other thing on walls and fences is you're talking about just how the structure would serve as a guardrail for the retaining wall and just how it would, the standard for, design standards for meeting the visual massing of that guardrail. So again, I think the fences and the walls is more clarifying. You're not really changing the rules there, but did anybody have any concerns or questions about that?
I do have a question. On the distance between retaining walls and other walls and fences, is this a new requirement or it's just a clarification?
There's an existing requirement in the code that you have to step back retaining walls, and you have to have some planting in between. What we're trying to clarify is that if you have a big solid fence, that's like a retaining wall, and you should also have to step that back. 'Cause right now, that's not clear, and people try to put big solid fences right above their big retaining walls.
Well, I know that it talks about any guardrail has to be kind of, I don't know what the language, primarily, transparent or whatever. But I'm wondering about in the figure on page 82, the stepped retaining walls, the multiple retaining walls, has it always had that you have to have the height as the horizontal separation as well?
Yes, that figure's been in the code.
Okay, but you're adding in red line number 3 above, that looks like an entirely new section. I guess it's similar to 2B above, right above it.
Yeah, 2B is about the stepping, and that's what the diagram is for retaining walls. And then number 3 is clarifying that if you have a solid fence or structure that's like a retaining wall, that also needs to be stepped back. There's an exception for a safety guardrail that's required by the building code. We would allow that to be right up on the edge of the retaining wall if it's required for safety and it's not over height. I think.
Would it be more clear if you guys moved item 3 to below that diagram? Since the diagram is about 2B?
I agree with that.
Yeah, we could do that.
That would,
That was confusing to me.
yeah, I understand.
Okay, I like that idea.
Look at you moving stuff. Good for you.
He's on his A game tonight. Okay, that's on.
All right.
That's
I'm
my
awake.
question.
Okay, very good. So we've added some value to the walls and fences provisions. Are we good with that? Moving on?
Yeah.
Great. I do believe you guys made some changes to the commercial use tables, but they're essentially, you're trying to just do some cleanup there that just pertain to neighborhood commercial zone 1.2, and you're just trying to restore some allowed uses that got overwritten when the general plan was updated some time ago. And you're just trying to clean it up.
I think that's as good a description as I could give. If Chris Wright were here, he could provide a better one.
He
But
could
we
spend
made a
an hour
mistake
on it.
about 5 years ago, and we're correcting a mistake.
Yeah. Yep. The other thing is signage. There's a signage clarification. We discussed it last time about the wind-driven signs are prohibited. And then there's a differentiation between flags like the US flag and then a commercial flag with your language on it. And the staff has basically clarified all that so that, one, you could display the American flag, the state flag, you don't need a permit. But if you're going to have a flag with your commercial message on it, you need a banner, you need a temporary permit for that. And I thought we were good with that last time, so that probably doesn't change. That's more or less what I think is the highlights of what you guys are proposing with this. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So then I think that would do it, and we could go, then that would mean we're comfortable recommending this to the council. Does anyone want to make a motion then on that?
Is there a typo on page 83 where it says 6 and then a 4? See towards the bottom, because above it, in the page before, it's actually number 4. Shouldn't that just be 5?
No 5.
Under exceptions?
I believe you're correct. We're looking at a hard copy here. I think we would renumber that 6 to 5, and then, is there another number after that, or is
Yeah,
that it?
that would be crossed out.
So there's a 6 right
It has a 6 underlined and a 4.
So is this supposed to be for a,
All right. We're catching the good stuff.
Not a 7.
Or,
All right, I'll go ahead and move that we recommend to the city council the zoning cleanup amendments and adopt resolution PC 26010, recommending the city council adopt the zoning amendment 26062, zoning cleanup amendments, and that we find that these amendments are not subject to the California Environmental Quality Act because they do not constitute a project as defined by the state CEQA guidelines.
second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, David, good job, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you to your, I'm sorry, what, your intern?
Reese.
Reese, yes.
Wait,
Oh,
wait,
I'm sorry, we've made a decision on, can we go back to the, yes, Scott's helping me. Let's go back to the feedback. Reese, this is what you worked on, right? Good. Did you
Yes.
want to walk us through your brochure?
Sure.
Okay,
So.
let's give Reese some airtime.
So I kept the front plain and simple, just the city seal with landscape, xeriscape, and some information. And then when you open it, the first panel has pretty much what is a xeriscape. First off, when I was making this, I wasn't super confident on what a xeriscape was, so I don't think the public would know as well. So giving a quick definition of what it is and how you would use it. Going into cost effectiveness, water usage. For someone to want to have a xeriscape in their yard, they should know the benefits to such. So including these I thought was important. And then just some examples that I went around San Clemente and took pictures of them so that they were within San Clemente. If someone was walking down the street, they could possibly see this. I thought that was better than using other xeriscape examples from wherever. Another section where we have more benefits with curb appeal, distinctive visual interest, water consumption, how xeriscape, the whole point is being drought tolerant. And then the last page, I do have the alternatives where if people don't necessarily want a xeriscape or if they want to use artificial turf, how we said putting artificial turf where hardscape would be. So the example I used was a driveway, putting the artificial turf in the like concrete slabs for more of just a visual appeal. And then also drought tolerant fescue grass if people want more of just a grass look than rock, gravel and succulents.
I would echo the comment on fescue. The picture on the last page, I think, is really attractive, and I've been noticing fescue on more lawns as I walk around San Clemente. It's low water use. It looks a lot like grass. It's lower maintenance. It's doesn't require fertilizer. It grows almost the same as grass. Some golf courses use fescue.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. I just think this is helpful and good. The thing that I had the opportunity before our meeting was to talk with David and Reese, just say hello in the audience. And when I was doing that, David had mentioned that there's a lot more information on our website with details and examples. And my suggestion after hearing that was, you know, what would be nice then somewhere on here would be a QR code directly to those pages.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then that way, this is kind of the highlights, and then that somebody who wants the details goes right there. Are we all, is that a recommendation we can all make?
You might also make a comment in the verbiage saying, check our website for more information too. But
And then have the QR code, and there it
Oh,
goes.
yeah, but this, I think this looks
Andy,
great.
did you want to come say hi? Oh, he's not here. This is right in our sweet spot. We just finished passing the zone cleanup, batch 2, for your next council meeting.
We only pay you guys till 7:30 now.
Well. Nice to see you, Mr. City Manager. Okay, anybody, and so that's all my thought on this. Anyone else want to make any other suggestions?
I think it looks great. I just am very pleased with how it came out. Very nice.
Yeah. Okay, and then,
I think that looks great. Are we going to discuss this?
yeah, flow chart.
Okay.
What, yeah, go ahead, Scott.
So, again, it sounds like, and you guys, please correct me, but it sounds like this is in compliance with the state, because what I was, where you heard 500 square feet, then you have to have a professional plan, now you're submitting it, we're hiring consultants, they have to pay consulting fee. It's just adding a lot of burden, expense burden onto the our residents. 500 square feet, so everyone can get an idea. A two-car garage generically is 400 square feet. So it's basically the size of a two-car garage. It's not a lot when it comes to landscaping. So do we have any flexibility to make that threshold higher?
Yeah, the state heard that from a lot of cities when they passed this ordinance in like 2019, I think. So there's two thresholds. 500 square feet is brand new landscaping in an area that's basically undisturbed, like natural bluff or something. The more relevant threshold is 2,500 square feet of re-landscaping or is it rehabilitation? Yeah, so most projects, if somebody already has a home and they want to rehab their front yard, they don't get a building permit, they don't pay any fees. They can go up to 2,500 square feet. The only requirement is that they don't cover it all with pavement. They still have to have 50% living plant material. Where those fees come in and those processes come in is usually with a brand-new house with a brand-new front yard and a brand-new driveway and a brand-new garage. Then it's considered 500 square feet of new or 2,500 square feet of rehab. So I would say it's a small percentage of homes, but yeah, certainly there are people who are surprised when they have to hire a professional to drop a landscape and irrigation plan.
So if I was to argue that, well, new versus rehab, what's the difference? It doesn't matter because the 500 square feet is from the state. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and the 2,500 square feet. We just follow state law.
Okay.
It sounds like it's, if it's new.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't quite know what the difference is, but. there's a-
Dirt versus just you're an existing homeowner and you're updating.
If I can clarify, so
You're saying that I don't understand the state's.
Yeah, right, yeah, I don't either.
But whatever.
Commissioner McCann, I think the intent there is, they're thinking of water usage, right? So if you had a space that's currently paved, right, the water's going into that area. So new would be that you're replacing that pavement with landscaping. And so that's how we've been looking at new landscaping. The rehabilitated landscaped area would be existing landscaping that gets replanted with something different, where the water usage is probably still there, less or more. So.
Right, okay, thank you. Yeah, so just from my perspective, one man's opinion to staff, I would hate to see us, the poor resident applicant is so burdened already with the process that they have to go through, that they have no idea exists, and then they're hiring consultants, they don't even know who to hire, and all this stuff. So to the maximum extent possible, I would not want to see things any more onerous or burdensome than they need to be to our applicants.
We hear that and understand that, and we give a lot of free guidance, both at the counter and review of a whole plan. We try not to send people to consultants, and we don't have to.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other feedback?
Question for you, David. Is M Wheelo different from Wheelo, or is it the same thing?
It's the same thing. The M stands for model.
Okay, so I think this is fantastic also, I love it. But my only suggestion is say the same thing through the whole thing. If it's M Wheelo, it's M Wheelo, put M Wheelo everywhere, and tell people on page 1 what M Wheelo stands for. That's it.
That's a good idea.
But I love this. Very well done. That's helping residents, this kind of thing.
Anything else? Anybody else? Okay.
Yeah.
Are we concluded, have we concluded this agenda item, everybody?
Yes.
Great. David, thank you.
Thank you.
And Reese, thank you too.
Thank you.
All right. We are moving on to new business. Yay. We have none. Old business is none. That's item 11 now. reports of commissioners and staff. Do we have any commissioner reports? Questions, thoughts? All right. Let's go through our tentative future agenda. We've got, Zach, did you want to walk us through anything? Looks like we will have a planning commission meeting on the 22nd.
Yes, on the 22nd, we've scheduled a study session at 5 o'clock, so that's an early one, for the discussion of roof element and height calculations, and that would be to get feedback and get more context on how we look at height, not just the definition, but the whole measurement in the code. And we'll have a couple other staff here to explain that process. We can have sort of a back and forth discussion in a study session. So that's at 5, then we'll take a 15-minute break for a snack, and then at 6, we have the Wood Residence, which is a public hearing project on, I think, a new house next to a historic. Then we have the continued hearing on the ADU ordinance. And then after that, not listed here, will be an update on the parking and transportation demand management plan.
Which you currently show for May 6th, so that's going to move up?
Yeah.
Great. That's great. Okay.
I have a question. On the ADU zoning amendment, is that the Wood Residence? What am I?
No, the Wood Residence, I think, is a new home or a major addition. The ADU ordinance is the citywide ADU code that you discussed about a month ago and continued the hearing due to some
Oh, got it. I was,
concerns from the state about the ordinance.
sorry, I was looking at like a prior version, so I'll get rid of that.
Yeah, the one is the private residence has next to it a historic resource that went through DRSC.
Okay.
And then, great. I just will need to share with my colleagues and staff on that first meeting in May. I will be out of town, so I'll be missing that meeting. And just so everybody's aware, that I won't be able to attend the meeting on May 6th. So that's why I'm happy that that's, parking studies moved up. That would be great to have the opportunity to go through that with you guys. Does anybody else have any calendar items they want to share?
I think I'm going with you.
Okay, you're out of town that
Yeah,
day
May
too?
6th, I'll be gone also.
Okay, so we know two absences you guys can anticipate.
Bless you.
Okay. Yeah, the coastal adobe outdoor display is the one I was referring to in the pipeline. That'll be on that May 6th meeting. Same issue as we had tonight with the Verde,
Was this?
Casa Verde.
Was this, was this relative to the item tonight?
That was an excerpt from the draft parking and transportation plan, which was relevant to the item tonight because the code says you have to look at the most recent parking study to evaluate whether there's an impact downtown.
All right. Any other questions on our tentative agenda? Do we have design, does it looks like we'll probably have a design review at the end of the month? Or you're not sure yet? The 29th.
I would say it's likely we'll skip that. I think we'll try and keep the items on the 15th, or we'll push to May. I think the 29th may not happen.
Okay. Okay. Great. Zach, did you have any updates or information you want to share with the public or the commission tonight?
No, thank you.
Okay. So no staff reports. That takes us to adjournment. I will move that the Planning Commission now adjourn to the special study session of the Planning Commission scheduled for Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026 at 5 p.m. So everybody, make sure you come here at 5, and to be followed by the regular meeting of the Planning Commission at 6 p.m. held here, San Clemente City Hall, Council Chambers. Seconded by? Commissioner Freeman. All those in favor of adjourning? Aye. Adjourned. Good night.